Welcome to this lecture video. In this video, I am going to explain Einstein coefficients and CO2 laser, which comes under module 4 of engineering physics prescribed by VTU. So here I am going to discuss the following points, that is expression for energy density, that is in terms of Einstein's coefficients, and principal construction and working of CO2 laser. Now let us concentrate on what are Einstein coefficients. So expression for energy density, that is Einstein's coefficient, that is from Einstein's coefficient we are going to arrive at an expression for energy density of photon. Now let us concentrate on what are Einstein coefficients. Einstein proposed three constants of proportionality in order to explain transfer of energy during the interaction of radiation with matter. These constants are called Einstein's constants and are denoted as A21, B12 and B21. Now let us consider two energy levels, that is E1 and E2 of an atomic system such that E2 is greater than E1. Let the population of E1 and E2 be N1 and N2 respectively. Let radiations of energy density U mu, that is U mu, and frequency mu is incident on the atomic system. In case of induced absorption, the atom at E1 level transit to E2 level. The number of such absorptions made per second per unit volume is called rate of induced absorption. The rate of absorption entirely depends upon the number of atoms present in the lower energy state and energy density U mu of the incident photon. Therefore, the rate of absorption is proportional to N1 U mu. So, as according to this, the rate of absorption is proportional to N1 U mu. So that's what you can look into this slide. Or the rate of absorption is equal to B12 N1 into U mu. Here B12 is called Einstein coefficient of induced absorption. In case of spontaneous emission, an atom at high energy level E2 undergoes transition to the energy state E1 by emitting a photon. The rate of spontaneous emission depends only on the number of atoms which are at excited state, that is N2, that is in the energy state E2. Therefore, the rate of spontaneous emission is proportional to N2 here, or the rate of spontaneous emission is equal to a proportionality constant A21 into N2, where A21 is called Einstein's coefficient of spontaneous emission. If the energy density E mu is incident on the atom which is at energy level E2, then it will undergo stimulated emission. The rate of stimulated emission is proportional to the number of atoms in the energy state E2, that is N2, and the energy density of the incident photon, that is U mu. Therefore, the rate of stimulated emission is proportional to N2 U mu, or the rate of stimulated emission is equal to B21 N2 U mu, where B21 is called Einstein coefficient of stimulated emission. So at thermal equilibrium, it is observed that the rate of induced absorption is equal to the rate of spontaneous emission and the rate of stimulated emission. So this is what the equation come into picture at thermal equilibrium. So we can write the rate of induced absorption as B12 N1 U mu is equal to rate of spontaneous emission, that is A21 N2, plus rate of stimulated emission, that is B21 into U mu. So on simplification we can write B12 N1 U mu minus B21 into U mu is equal to A21 into further we can write u mu is equal to A21 N2 by B12 N1 minus B21 N2. So the final value of u mu can be rewritten as A21 by B21 into 1 by B12 N1 by B21 N2 minus 1. That is considered as equation number 1. So from Boltzmann's law for thermal equilibrium of an atomic system, we have N2 by N1 is equal to e to the power of minus of E2 minus E1 by kT, that is equal to e to the power of minus h mu by kT, or N1 by N2 can be written as e to the power of h mu by kT. Now substituting the value of N1 by N2 in equation number 1, we get u mu is equal to A21 by B21 into 1 by B12 by B21 into e to the power of h mu by kT minus 1. So consider that as equation number 2. From Planck's law of energy distribution, the energy density is given by u mu is equal to 8 by h mu cube by c cube into 1 by e to the power of h mu by kT minus 1. So consider that as equation number 3. Now by comparing equation number 2 and 3, we can write A21 by B21 is equal to 8 by h mu cube by c cube. So that is considered as equation number 4. And B12 by B21 is equal to 1. So you can consider that as equation number 5. Finally, the value of u mu can be written as A21 by B21 into 1 by e to the power of h mu by kT minus 1. So this is what about the expression for energy density of incident photon, that is expressed in terms of Einstein's coefficients. Now carbon dioxide laser or CO2 laser. So here we are going to consider the principal, construction and working of CO2 laser. Before going to principal, construction and working, first we have to concentrate on the different modes of CO2 molecule. So there are three different modes. One is symmetric stretching mode. So in this mode, the carbon atom is stationary and oxygen atoms oscillates simultaneously along the molecular axis. That is going to be shown in picture in the next slide. And the second one is asymmetric stretching mode. So in this mode, both oxygen atom move. That is, in this mode, both oxygen atoms move in one direction while the carbon atom moves in the opposite direction. That is along the molecular axis. And the third one is bending mode. In this mode, the oxygen atom and the carbon atom move perpendicular to the molecular axis. The internal vibrations of CO2 molecules are actually the linear combination of these three modes. So here I am going to show you the three different modes of vibration. First one is symmetric stretching mode, and second one is asymmetric stretching mode, and the third one is bending mode. Now let us concentrate on the construction of CO2 laser. Here the active medium is observed to be CO2 gas, and the laser transition takes place between the vibrational states of CO2 molecules. And if you look at the construction part, the CO2 laser consists of a quartz discharge tube of about 5 cm long and 2.5 cm in diameter. The discharge tube is filled with gaseous mixture of CO2, helium and nitrogen with suitable partial pressures. The terminals of the discharge tube are connected to a DC power supply. The ends of discharge tube are fitted with a NaCl Brewster window so that the laser light generated would be polarized. And let us look at the working part. And in order to explain working part, let us look at the energy band diagram here. So by looking into this, we can clearly explain what is going to happen in case of CO2 laser. So when an electrical discharge is passed through the CO2 gas, the electrons collide with nitrogen molecules and are raised to excited state. So here nitrogen interact with electron and goes to excited state. Subsequently, the nitrogen molecule in the excited state collide with the CO2 molecule which are in the ground state and transmit its energy to the CO2 molecule and make it excited to the E5 level as shown in the picture. So here the interaction is a nitrogen at excited state plus carbon dioxide molecule at ground state leads to carbon dioxide molecule at excited state and nitrogen molecule comes back to ground state. So this is what going to happen here. Since the excited level of nitrogen is very close to the E5 level of CO2, the population of CO2 in E5 level goes on increases. As soon as the population inversion is achieved, any of the spontaneously emitted photon trigger the laser action. So this is what going to happen here. Here there are two types of laser transition, that is transition from E5 to E4 gives rise to a laser beam of wavelength say 10.6 micrometer, and transition from E5 to E3 leads to a laser beam of wavelength say 9.6 micrometer. Normally 10.6 micrometer transition is more intense than 9.6 micrometer transition, and here the power output of expected, that is the power output expected from this laser is found to be 10 kilowatts. So this is what the working and energy band diagram of CO2 laser. Now let us concentrate on some problems. The average power output of a laser beam of wavelength 6500 angstrom is 10 milliwatts. Find the number of photons emitted per second by the laser source. Here the power is given as 10 milliwatts and T is 1 second, C is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, H is 6.63 into 10 to the minus 34 joule second. So lambda is given as 6500 angstrom. So here we have to calculate what is n, that is number of photons emitted per second. So we know that n is equal to lambda pt by hc. This is the formula. So substitute the value of lambda, power and time, Planck's constant and velocity of light. So after substitution and after simplification, the value of n is calculated as 3.268 into 10 to the power 16. So many photons per meter cube. A pulsed laser emits photon of wavelength 820 nanometer with 22 milliwatt average power per pulse. Calculate the number of photons contained in each pulse if the pulse duration is 12 nanoseconds. So lambda is 820 nanometer, P is 22 milliwatts, T is 12 nanoseconds, and H is 6.625 10 to the power minus 34 joule second, and C is 3 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So here the value of n is calculated as lambda pt by hc. So this is the formula. Substitute the value of lambda, pt and h and c. So on simplification we are going to get the value of n as 1.089 into 10 to the power 9 electrons per meter cube. So this is what the value of n for this problem.